Episode 1: A Voice Born in Newark. The world would one day stand still for her voice. Crowds would rise, radios would pause, and a single note would feel like it came from somewhere beyond human reach. But before the fame, before the spotlight, before the world knew her name, there was a little girl growing up in Newark, New Jersey. Whitney Elizabeth Houston was born on August 9, 1963, into a family where music was not just entertainment, it was life itself. Her mother, Sissy Houston, was a respected gospel singer with a voice that carried both power and discipline. Her cousin, Dionne Warwick, was already a global star. Soul and gospel legend Aretha Franklin was her godmother. In this home, music was not optional. It was part of breathing. Their house was filled with rehearsals, harmonies, piano chords, and voices blending in spiritual devotion. Whitney grew up surrounded by professionals who treated music with reverence. There were no shortcuts, no half-hearted singing. Every note mattered. Yet Newark in the 1960s and 70s was not an easy place to grow up. The city faced economic struggles, racial tension, and rising crime. But inside the Houston home, faith and music created a sanctuary. Whitney was a quiet child, shy, observant. She watched more than she spoke. While other children ran through the neighborhood streets, Whitney often sat listening, studying how voices moved, how emotion lived inside a song. She watched her mother rehearse. She watched professionals come and go. She watched excellence up close. And without anyone announcing it, training had already begun. Her mother insisted on discipline. Whitney learned to respect pitch, timing, breath control, and emotional delivery. She learned that singing was not about sounding good, it was about making people feel something. At night, gospel records filled the house. Soul music drifted through the rooms. Whitney listened carefully, absorbing tone, phrasing, and power. She wasn't trying to become a star. She was learning to tell the truth through music. Family gatherings often turned into impromptu concerts, voices layered in harmony. Whitney stood nearby, listening, waiting, absorbing. When she sang, even casually, relatives would pause and exchange knowing glances. There was something unusual about her tone, clear, rich, and already filled with emotion beyond her years. But talent alone was not enough. Whitney's mother demanded excellence. If she sang off-key, she was corrected. If she lacked effort, she was reminded that gifts must be earned through work. This discipline shaped her early character. At school, Whitney was tall and soft-spoken. She didn't chase attention. She wasn't trying to be popular. Yet when music entered the room, everything changed. Her voice carried authority. Neat teachers noticed, friends listened in awe, but Whitney remained grounded, shaped by a home that valued humility over applause. Music was not about showing off, it was about connection. On Sundays, the family attended church, where gospel music wasn't performance, it was spiritual expression. The energy, the clapping, the call and response, the emotional surrender, this environment would become the foundation of Whitney's power. Here, voices weren't restrained, they soared, and Whitney was listening. Every chord progression, every harmony, every swell of emotion was building something inside her, something the world had never heard before. She did not yet know she would become one of the greatest voices in history. She only knew that when music filled the room, she felt complete. And in a city marked by hardship, her voice was becoming something luminous, something that would one day transcend race, borders, and generations. The little girl from Newark was growing, listening, learning, preparing. because soon she would step into a space where her voice would no longer be hidden in the background. It would rise, and people would feel it in their souls. In the next episode, Whitney steps into the place that would shape her voice and spirit forever, the church choir, where a young girl delivers a performance that makes the entire congregation stop and listen. Next episode title, Church Choir Beginnings.